You must have wondered what's the difference between two very similar terminologies. For example, predestination and free will. Jabr and Tafweed, or predestination and free will, is a subject that pretty much every student of Islamic knowledge tries to delve into and understand. Some, unfortunately, have slipped in trying to come to a conclusion as to whether or not our actions, our thoughts, our speech, our intentions are predestined, or whether we have total free will. However, when we look at the corpus of traditions that we have from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, we find one common understanding for this subject. There's a famous tradition from the 6th Holy Imam in which he says, it's neither predestination nor is it free will, وَلَكِنَ الْأَمْرُ بَيْنَهُمَا. But the decision or the argument is between these two extremes. Neither have we been predestined and been created in a fashion in which we have no decision, no will over our action or thoughts or speech, and neither have we been left alone, such that God created us and left us to do what we wish without any interference in the matter. The group that say that predestination is how this universe runs tends to be the group known as the Ash'arites. They believe that all of our actions have been predestined by God, and because of that, we cannot really be held to blame for certain actions that we commit. You find in history that some of the oppressors seem to have taken this stance because they wanted to legitimize their actions. A famous statement from Yazid when he speaks to Sayyida Zainab is when he asks her, how have you found what Allah has done to your brother? Indicating that it was not necessarily me, but this was predestined and it's God's plan that your brother has been brutally killed in this fashion. On the flip side, we find the Mu'tazilites, those who believe in total free will, that God created us as mankind, gave us freedom and free will and willpower, and then left us alone without predestining anything, without writing anything in the books. The reality is, as Imam al-Sadiq says, a mix between the two, it's a path in between. That there are things that are predestined and there are things that we have total control over in terms of our free will. The problem in understanding predestination and free will is that we try and understand God within the bounds of time and matter. Allah is outside of time and outside of space. He has created these two elements. And for that reason, it's extremely difficult to understand God's perception of us as individuals outside of the boundaries of time and space. As Allah mentions in the Quran in Surah Al-Fussilat, that anybody who does good, it's for himself, and anybody who does evil, it's because of himself. In conclusion, we understand that we're able to think, we're able to move our bodies, and we realize that this is at our own free will. What we should also understand is the ability to move, the ability to speak is a continuous grace from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are certain things He has hidden from us, for example, the time of our death. These have been predestined, these have been written down. We can change it to an extent, but only to a final point after which it shall not be changed. And even when it comes to our actions, we realize that the knowledge of God is absolute, and therefore He understands and knows what our action will be, but we can never say that our hands are moving without our intention. We realize as human beings that we are solely responsible for every action that we commit and the speech that we utter.